never believed in horoscopes, tarot cards, psychics, or people who claimed they could see the future. My name is Claire Bennett, and at 33, I was one of Seattle's most respected investigative journalists. My job wasn't believing stories, it was exposing lies. If someone claimed they could predict the future, I was the first person to ask for proof. So when my younger sister, Sophia, convinced me to visit a weekend spiritual fair for a story I was writing called The Business of Belief, I couldn't stop laughing. "You're seriously making me do this?" I teased as we walked past crystal displays, incense, and fortune tellers. Sophia smiled. "You've exposed corrupt politicians, fake charities, and million-dollar scams. Maybe it's time you investigated something different." "I'm already investigating it," I laughed. "I'm investigating how much money these people make fooling others." Near the back of the hall sat a small booth that looked completely different from the rest. No flashing lights. No glowing crystals. No dramatic decorations. Just a weathered wooden table, 3 candles, and an elderly woman dressed in a simple dark green shawl. A hand-painted sign read, "Tarot readings, by appointment, or fate." I laughed under my breath. "That's clever marketing." The woman slowly looked up. "You don't have an appointment." I smiled. "No. But fate brought you anyway." Sophia gently nudged my shoulder. "Come on. It'll make your article more interesting." I sighed dramatically before taking the empty chair. The woman never asked my name. She never asked my birthday. She simply picked up an old deck of worn tarot cards and began shuffling them with remarkable calm. Then, she suddenly stopped. Her fingers froze. Without looking at me, she whispered, "You're a Sagittarius." The smile disappeared from my face. I hadn't told her. Neither had Sophia. "It's a lucky guess," I replied. She slowly placed 3 cards on the table. The first card turned over. The Tower. Her expression darkened. "The life you've carefully built is about to collapse." I folded my arms. "My editor says that every week." She didn't react. Instead, she revealed the second card. The Hermit. "You'll soon be searching for answers no one wants you to find." A strange feeling settled in my stomach. For the first time, I wasn't laughing. She turned over the final card. Death. Not death itself. Transformation. The end of one life. And the beginning of another. She stared into my eyes for what felt like forever. Then she spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "Within 10 days. You'll receive something hidden for more than 20 years. It will expose a powerful lie. People you've never met will begin watching you. And someone will do anything to keep you from learning the truth." I stood up and forced a laugh. "So I'm the star of a conspiracy movie now?" The woman didn't smile. Instead, she reached beneath the table and placed a small sealed envelope into my hand. "Don't open this." I raised an eyebrow. "Then why give it to me?" "Because when the moment comes, you won't need anyone to tell you. You'll know." I slipped the envelope into my handbag, shook my head, and walked away with Sophia. We laughed about the reading all the way home. That night, I returned to my apartment. The hallway was quiet. Everything seemed perfectly normal. Until I unlocked my mailbox. Inside was a plain brown package with no return address. My heartbeat quickened. I opened it. Inside was an old, faded photograph of my parents. Standing beside them was a little girl I had never seen before. Written on the back, in my late mother's unmistakable handwriting, were 6 chilling words. "Find your sister before they do." I only had one sister. Sophia. Or at least, that's what I'd believed my entire life. I stared at the photograph for what felt like hours. The little girl looked about 6 years old. She had curly dark hair, bright hazel eyes, and a smile that seemed strangely familiar. She was standing between my parents as if she belonged there. As if she were part of our family. But I had never seen her before. My hands trembled as I turned the picture over again. The handwriting was unmistakable. It belonged to my mother. She had died 8 years earlier after a long battle with cancer. There was no way anyone could have copied her handwriting so perfectly. "Find your sister before they do." The words echoed in my mind. Before who? I immediately called Sophia. She answered on the second ring. "Claire? It's almost midnight. Everything okay? I need you to come over. You sound scared." "I think someone sent me something about Mom." There was a long silence. "I'm leaving now." 20 minutes later, Sophia rushed into my apartment. The moment she saw my face, her smile disappeared. I handed her the photograph. She frowned. I've never seen this before. She turned it over. When she saw our mother's handwriting, all the color drained from her face. That's Mom's writing. I know. But who is this little girl? Neither of us had an answer. Sophia sat quietly before whispering. Maybe Dad knows. I looked at the clock. 12:47 a.m. Dad will be asleep. This can't wait. 40 minutes later, we pulled into my father's driveway. The porch light was already on. He opened the door before we even knocked. His eyes widened when he saw the photograph. For several seconds. He couldn't speak. His hands began shaking. Where did you get this? I had never seen my father frightened before. It was mailed to me tonight. He stared at the little girl. Then slowly sat down. I prayed this day would never come. Sophia and I exchanged confused looks. Dad. Who is she? Tears filled his eyes. Before he could answer, someone pounded violently on the front door. Bang. 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 All three of us jumped. Another loud knock followed. Then a man's voice. Mr. Bennett. This is the police. We need to speak with Claire Bennett immediately. My stomach tightened. The police? I hadn't broken any laws. Dad suddenly stood up. His face had turned pale. No. He whispered. They found you. What are you talking about? He grabbed my shoulders. Listen to me carefully. His voice was shaking. If those people ask about the photograph, tell them you've never seen it. What people? They're not here because of you. They're here because of her. Before I could ask another question, the knocking became even louder. Mr. Bennett. If you don't open this door, we'll come back with a warrant. Dad looked at the photograph one last time. Then, without saying a word, he walked to the fireplace, opened a hidden compartment beneath the mantel, and pulled out a small metal lockbox covered in dust. He handed it to me. Take this. What is it? It contains everything your mother spent 20 years hiding. Sophia looked terrified. Dad. What is happening? He took a deep breath. The girl in that picture isn't a stranger. He looked directly into my eyes. She's your sister. Before either of us could react, the front door burst open. The front door crashed open with a deafening bang. Claire instinctively stepped in front of Sophia, clutching the dusty metal lockbox tightly against her chest. 3 officers rushed inside with flashlights raised. Claire Bennett? One of them asked. Yes. We need you to come with us. Claire frowned. For what? The lead officer hesitated before replying. We're investigating the disappearance of a woman connected to you. Claire's heart skipped a beat. What woman? The officer slowly reached into a folder and pulled out an aged photograph. It was the same little girl from the picture. Only now she was older, about 28 years old. Her name was printed beneath the photo. Evelyn Grace Bennett. Missing for 6 months. Claire felt the room spin. My father just told me she was my sister. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Your sister? That's impossible, another officer muttered. Before Claire could ask why, her father suddenly collapsed into a chair. I've kept this secret long enough, he whispered. The room fell silent. 28 years ago, your mother gave birth to twin daughters. Claire stared at him in disbelief. Twins? He nodded slowly. You, and Evelyn. Sophia gasped. Dad, you're saying Claire has a twin sister? Tears rolled down his face. Yes. But a few days after you were born, someone broke into the hospital nursery. Claire couldn't breathe. They didn't steal anything. They came for Evelyn. The officers looked stunned. One of them quietly lowered his notebook. They said it was a failed kidnapping case, the officer whispered. It was never solved. Claire looked at her father. You told everyone she died. I had no choice. They threatened our family. They told us that if anyone searched for Evelyn, they would kill everyone we loved. The room became painfully quiet. Claire suddenly remembered the tarot reader's words. You'll receive something hidden for more than 20 years. The photograph. It will expose a powerful lie. Her father's secret. People you've never met will begin watching you. A cold shiver ran down her spine. She walked to the living room window. Across the street, a black SUV sat parked beneath a broken streetlight. Its engine was running. A man wearing dark sunglasses was watching the house. even though it was nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. The moment Claire looked at him, he slowly smiled. Then drove away. Claire's pulse raced. Dad. Who are those people? His face turned pale. I prayed they would never find you. Claire looked down at the lockbox in her hands. What's inside? Her father swallowed hard. The evidence your mother collected. The truth about Evelyn. And the reason powerful people have spent 28 years making sure she was never found. Claire knelt beside the box. It was secured with a small brass combination lock. No key? Her father shook his head. Your mother changed the code before she died. Claire sighed. So how do we open it? Before anyone could answer, Sophia suddenly remembered something. Her eyes widened. Claire. Remember the envelope the tarot reader gave you? Claire froze. The sealed envelope. She had completely forgotten about it. She reached into her handbag and pulled it out. For the first time, she noticed 6 numbers written faintly across the back. 2, 8. 1, 1. 9, 4. Her father stared at the numbers. His face went completely white. No. That's impossible. Claire looked at him. What is it? He whispered, barely able to speak. That's your mother's birthday. Slowly, Claire turned the combination dial. 2. 8. 1. 1. 9. 4. Click. The lockbox sprang open on its own. Inside lay 3 items. A leather-bound journal with her mother's name embossed in gold. An old USB flash drive labeled only Claire. And a folded note. With trembling hands, Claire unfolded the note. It contained just one sentence. If you're reading this, they're already closer than you think. Just then, the lights throughout the house went out. Darkness swallowed every room. Outside, a car door slammed shut. Someone was walking toward the house. Darkness swallowed the house. For a split second, no one moved. The only sound was the ticking of the old grandfather clock in the hallway. Then, knock. One slow knock echoed through the living room. Claire tightened her grip on the journal. Another knock. This time louder. Knock. 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 Sophia grabbed Claire's arm. Don't answer it. Their father was already reaching for his phone. No signal. Claire checked hers. Nothing. Every phone in the house had lost service. Then a woman's voice came through the front door. Claire. It was calm. Almost gentle. I know you're inside. Claire frowned. I've never heard that voice before. The woman continued. You opened the lockbox, didn't you? Claire's heart nearly stopped. How could she know that? Their father whispered urgently. Stay away from the door. But who is she? I don't know. He paused. And that's what scares me. Another knock. This time, the woman sounded almost desperate. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here because your mother asked me to protect you. Claire exchanged a glance with Sophia. Our mother died 8 years ago, Claire called out. I know. Then how could she ask you anything? Silence. For several seconds, no one spoke. Finally, the woman answered. Because she planned for this day long before she died. Claire slowly walked toward the window. Keeping herself hidden behind the curtain, she peeked outside. Standing on the porch was a woman in her early 40s. She wore a dark blue coat soaked by the rain. There were no weapons. No police car. No black SUV. Just a single woman holding an old leather folder against her chest. She looked frightened. Not dangerous. Then headlights suddenly appeared at the end of the street. A black SUV turned the corner. Another followed behind it. Then another. 3 identical vehicles rolled slowly toward the house. The woman on the porch saw them. Her eyes widened in panic. She shouted. They found you. They're early. She began pounding on the door. Claire. If you don't let me in now, none of us will leave this house alive. Their father finally made his decision. Open the door. What? Sophia cried. Dad, what if it's a trap? I don't think it is. Claire unlocked the door. The woman rushed inside, slammed it shut behind her, and locked every deadbolt. She was breathing heavily. They're faster than I expected. Claire stared at her. Who are you? The woman looked directly into Claire's eyes. My name is Rachel Hayes. I worked with your mother. Claire frowned. My mother was a schoolteacher. Rachel slowly shook her head. No. That's what she wanted everyone to believe. Claire felt as though the floor had disappeared beneath her. Rachel looked at the leather journal in Claire's hands. Has anyone read it yet? Claire shook her head. No. Rachel sighed with relief. Good. Because once you read the first page, there's no turning back. Just then, a powerful spotlight flooded through the front windows. The room turned bright white. Outside, car doors slammed one after another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Heavy footsteps surrounded the house from every direction. Someone shouted through a loudspeaker. Claire Bennett. We know you have the journal. Hand it over, and no one gets hurt. Rachel's face turned pale. She whispered. They lied. They're not here for the journal. Claire looked at her. What do you mean? Rachel swallowed hard. They're here. For you. The voice outside echoed through the house. Claire Bennett. Hand over the journal. The windows rattled as powerful flashlights swept across every room. Sophia peeked through the curtains. There are at least 8 of them. Rachel quickly pulled everyone away from the windows. Stay low. Claire clutched the leather journal against her chest. You said they're here for me. Rachel nodded. They've been looking for you since the day you were born. Claire stared at her in disbelief. Why? Rachel looked at Claire's father. It's time. He closed his eyes, defeated. I know. Rachel turned back to Claire. Your mother wasn't just a schoolteacher. 29 years ago, she worked for a private organization that investigated powerful corporations involved in illegal human experiments. Claire frowned. Human experiments? They were secretly taking children from hospitals and orphanages. Sophia covered her mouth in horror. For what? Rachel hesitated. They believed certain children possessed rare genetic traits that could be studied and exploited for profit. Claire felt sick. And Evelyn? Rachel nodded. Your twin sister was one of those children. Claire couldn't believe what she was hearing. So, they kidnapped her? They tried. But your mother fought back. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. She managed to save you. But Evelyn disappeared before anyone could stop them. Claire looked at her father. You knew all of this? He nodded slowly. Every single day. And you never told me? I wanted you to have a normal life. Outside. A loud metallic crash shook the house. Someone had forced open the backyard gate. They're coming in, Sophia whispered. Rachel looked at the journal. We're out of time. Open it. Claire slowly lifted the worn leather cover. The first page contained only one handwritten sentence. Claire, if you're reading this, trust no one until you finish this journal. She turned the page. There was a photograph. It showed her mother standing beside Rachel. And another woman. Claire froze. She knew that face. She had seen it before. It was the tarot reader from the fair. Only the picture was old, at least 30 years old. She looked exactly the same. Not older. Not younger. Exactly the same. Claire's hands began to shake. That's impossible. Rachel looked at the photograph. I wondered when you'd find that. You know her? Rachel nodded. Very well. Who is she? Rachel took a deep breath. Her real name isn't Madame Selene. It's Dr. Selene Mercer. Claire blinked. Doctor? She was your mother's closest friend, and one of the brightest scientists in the organization. Claire's mind raced. But she looks exactly the same. Rachel's expression turned grim. That's because no one has seen her age in nearly 30 years. Before Claire could ask another question. Crash. The sound of breaking glass exploded from the kitchen. Someone had smashed a window. Heavy boots landed on the floor inside the house. They're in. Sophia cried. Rachel pointed toward the hallway. There's a hidden exit in the basement. Claire grabbed the journal, the USB drive, and the photograph. As they ran toward the basement door, a deep voice echoed from the kitchen. Claire. You can run. But this time, we are not leaving without you. Claire slammed the basement door shut behind them. A second later. Bang. Someone on the other side tried to force it open. Hurry. Rachel shouted. The basement was cold, damp, and almost completely dark. Claire switched on her phone's flashlight, revealing shelves covered with old paint cans, broken furniture, and dusty boxes. This doesn't look like a place with a hidden exit, Sophia whispered. It does, their father replied, breathing heavily. Your mother built it herself. He walked to an old wooden bookshelf against the wall. At first, it looked ordinary. Then he pulled a rusted metal hook hidden behind a stack of boxes. A deep grinding sound echoed through the basement. The bookshelf slowly slid to one side, revealing a narrow stone tunnel. Sophia gasped. There's a tunnel under the house? Their father nodded. Your mother made me promise never to open it, unless our lives depended on it. Another loud crash came from upstairs. The men had broken through the basement door. They're coming! Claire yelled. Rachel pushed everyone toward the tunnel. Go. I'll close the entrance behind us. One by one, they hurried inside. The air smelled of damp earth, and the tunnel was barely wide enough for two people to walk side by side. Behind them, Rachel pulled a hidden lever. The bookshelf slid back into place just as footsteps thundered into the basement. The tunnel fell silent. For several minutes, they walked without speaking. The only sounds were their footsteps and the dripping of water from the ceiling. Finally, Sophia broke the silence. Who are these people? Rachel looked at Claire. They call themselves the Dominion. They've spent decades covering up what happened to the children they took. Claire tightened her grip on the journal. And they think I can expose them. Rachel nodded. You can. Claire looked down at the USB drive. This too? Rachel's expression grew serious. Your mother copied thousands of classified files before she disappeared from the organization. They include names, financial records, secret facilities, everything. Claire's heart raced. So if this gets into the wrong hands, it disappears forever. Suddenly, Claire stopped walking. What is it? Sophia asked. Claire slowly pointed her flashlight at the dirt floor. Fresh footprints. Not theirs. Someone had walked through the tunnel recently. Rachel crouched beside them. They're less than a day old. Claire looked ahead. But Dad said no one knew about this tunnel. Before anyone could answer, a faint light appeared in the distance. Someone was standing at the other end. The figure didn't move. It simply waited. Claire's pulse pounded in her ears. As they cautiously approached, the figure stepped into the light. It was an elderly man with gray hair, wearing an old park ranger's jacket. He held a lantern in one hand. When he saw Claire, relief washed over his face. So? He smiled sadly. You finally made it. Claire frowned. Who are you? My name is Thomas Reed. I've been waiting for you. For 28 years. Claire's breath caught. Waiting for me? Thomas nodded. Your mother told me that one day, you would come through this tunnel. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a yellowed envelope. On the front, written in her mother's handwriting, were the words. For Claire, only when she learns the truth. Claire slowly took the envelope. What is this? Thomas looked her straight in the eyes. It's the map. To where your sister was taken. Before Claire could open it, a gunshot echoed through the tunnel. Bang! The lantern shattered. The tunnel plunged into darkness. Someone's voice echoed from behind them. Nobody move. The gunshot echoed through the tunnel. Bang! Thomas's lantern exploded into a shower of glass. Darkness swallowed everyone. Sophia screamed. Rachel grabbed Claire's arm. Don't move. Another voice boomed through the tunnel. We know you're there. Drop the journal. No one has to die tonight. Claire could barely see her own hand. She reached into her pocket and switched on her phone's flashlight. A narrow beam cut through the darkness. 20 feet behind them stood 4 armed men dressed in black tactical gear. Their faces were hidden behind masks. One of them stepped forward. The journal, Claire. Now. Claire looked at Rachel. Rachel gave the slightest shake of her head. Don't do it. The masked man raised his weapon. You have 5 seconds. 5. 4. Before he reached 3. Thomas suddenly shouted. Run. He swung his heavy wooden walking stick at the nearest attacker. The flashlight flew from the man's hand. The tunnel plunged into darkness again. Chaos erupted. Rachel grabbed Claire and Sophia. This way. They sprinted deeper into the tunnel as shouts and footsteps echoed behind them. Claire could hear bullets striking the stone walls. Pieces of rock rained down around them. Her lungs burned, but she didn't stop. After several minutes, they reached a large iron door built into the side of the tunnel. Thomas pulled a rusted wheel attached to the door. It groaned open. Inside. Everyone rushed through. Thomas slammed the door shut and turned the wheel until it locked with a heavy clang. The pounding on the other side began immediately. Boom. Boom. They won't hold them for long, Thomas said. Claire looked around. The room was enormous. It wasn't part of the tunnel. It looked like an underground bunker. Shelves lined the walls, filled with old boxes, radios, maps, and filing cabinets. In one corner sat several dusty computer monitors. Rachel smiled faintly. Your mother built this place as a safe house. Claire slowly turned in a circle. My mother built all of this? Thomas nodded. For years, she secretly gathered evidence against the Dominion. He walked to a steel cabinet and unlocked it with a small key hanging around his neck. Inside were dozens of neatly labeled folders. One folder immediately caught Claire's eye. It had a single word written across the front. Evelyn. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside were newspaper clippings, photographs, and handwritten notes. Near the bottom was a recent color photograph. Claire froze. The woman in the picture looked exactly like her. Same eyes. Same smile. Same curly dark hair. The only difference. A thin scar ran across the woman's left eyebrow. Sophia gasped. Oh my God. Claire whispered. That's her. My twin sister. Thomas nodded. The photograph was taken 3 weeks ago. Claire's heart pounded. 3 weeks? That means she's alive. Rachel smiled for the first time. Yes. Claire looked up hopefully. Then we can find her. The smile vanished from Rachel's face. We can. She hesitated. If we're not already too late. Claire frowned. What do you mean? Rachel pointed to another photograph in the folder. It showed Evelyn entering a large mountain facility surrounded by tall fences and armed guards. She wasn't running. She wasn't being dragged. She walked inside willingly. Claire stared at the picture in disbelief. No. She wouldn't. Thomas sighed heavily. Claire. Your sister doesn't know she was kidnapped. As far as Evelyn knows. The Dominion is her family. Silence filled the bunker. Claire felt as though the ground had disappeared beneath her. The sister she'd spent her whole life searching for might see her as the enemy. Before anyone could speak again, one of the old radios on the shelf suddenly crackled to life. A woman's voice came through the speaker. Weak. Frightened. Barely audible. If anyone can hear me. Claire stepped closer. The voice continued. My name is Evelyn Bennett. I don't have much time. They finally know the truth about me. They're coming. If Claire is alive. The radio hissed with static. Then Evelyn whispered 4 chilling words. Tell her, don't trust. The transmission suddenly cut off. At the exact same moment. Every light inside the bunker went out. Darkness swallowed the bunker. For a few terrifying seconds, no one moved. Then Thomas calmly reached into a drawer. Click. A red emergency lantern flickered to life, bathing the bunker in a dim crimson glow. Sophia let out a shaky breath. I hate this place. Rachel wasn't looking at the lights. She was staring at the old radio. They found our frequency. Claire frowned. So they cut the power? Thomas nodded. And if they found the frequency? He looked toward the heavy steel door. They know where we are. A loud metallic thud echoed through the bunker. Boom. Someone was trying to force the door open. They're here, Sophia whispered. Thomas checked the thick steel lock. This door will buy us some time. Rachel turned to Claire. Read the journal. Now. Claire opened the worn leather journal and carefully turned to the next page. It was dated October 14, 1998. The handwriting belonged to her mother. If you're reading this, then I failed to keep my promise. I wanted you to grow up without fear, but the truth always finds its way home. Claire swallowed hard and continued. The Dominion didn't take Evelyn because she was random. They had been watching our family long before you were born. Sophia looked confused. Watching your family? Why? Claire turned the page. Her eyes widened. There was an old family tree. At the very top, one name had been circled in red. Dr. Eleanor Bennett. Claire had never heard that name before. Rachel leaned closer. That's your grandmother. My grandmother died before I was born. Rachel slowly shook her head. No. She disappeared. Claire looked back at the journal. Another paragraph caught her attention. Your grandmother discovered something that the Dominion wanted more than money, more than power. Claire looked up. What did she discover? Thomas answered quietly. Proof. Proof of what? That the Dominion wasn't just experimenting on children. They were creating false identities. Replacing missing people. And secretly placing them into powerful families across the country. Silence filled the bunker. Claire could hardly process what she had heard. So, this isn't just about my sister. Rachel nodded. It's much bigger. Another heavy bang shook the steel door. Dust fell from the ceiling. Thomas checked his watch. We have maybe 15 minutes. Claire flipped another page. An old map fell from the journal. Unlike the map Thomas had given her, this one had only one location circled. A remote mountain in Colorado. Written beside it were 3 words. The Hollow Ridge Facility. Rachel's face turned pale. I was afraid of that. You know this place? I escaped from there. Claire stared at her. You were one of them? Rachel nodded slowly. I was one of the children they took. Sophia covered her mouth in shock. My mother rescued me when I was 16. Claire finally understood why Rachel had risked her life to protect them. She wasn't just helping because of a promise. She had lived through it. Suddenly, the emergency radio crackled again. This time, the signal was stronger. A man's voice filled the bunker. Calm. Confident. Almost amused. Good evening, Claire. Everyone froze. I know you can hear me. Claire slowly picked up the microphone. Who are you? The man chuckled. My name doesn't matter. But yours does. You've caused us a great deal of trouble. Claire's grip tightened. What do you want? I want the journal. And the USB drive. Rachel whispered urgently. Don't answer him. The man laughed. I see Rachel is still with you. Claire's heart skipped a beat. He knew Rachel was there. How? Then he said something that made everyone in the bunker go silent. Rachel. Tell Claire what really happened to her mother. Rachel's face drained of color. Don't. The man continued. Or should I? Claire looked at Rachel. What is he talking about? Rachel lowered her head. Tears filled her eyes. I've wanted to tell you for years. Claire's voice trembled. Tell me what? Rachel looked up, unable to hold the secret any longer. Claire. Your mother didn't die of cancer. Claire felt as if the air had been knocked out of her lungs. What? Rachel whispered through tears. She was murdered. Because she refused to give you up. The bunker fell silent. Claire could hear nothing except the pounding of her own heart. She looked at Rachel, waiting for her to say it wasn't true. Instead, Rachel began to cry. I'm so sorry. Claire took a step back. No. My mother died in the hospital. I was there. Rachel slowly shook her head. That's what they wanted you to believe. Claire felt anger rising inside her. Stop lying. I'm not lying. Thomas gently placed a hand on Claire's shoulder. Rachel is telling the truth. Claire stared at both of them in disbelief. My mother was receiving chemotherapy. She lost her hair. She became weak. I watched her suffer. Rachel wiped away her tears. The cancer was real. But it wasn't what killed her. Claire's breathing became uneven. What do you mean? Rachel opened one of the folders in the cabinet. Inside was a medical report. It carried the logo of a private hospital. This report was hidden by your mother. Claire took it with trembling hands. Near the bottom of the page was a sentence highlighted in red. Cause of death, cardiac arrest following toxic chemical exposure. Claire frowned. Toxic, chemical exposure? Rachel nodded. The chemotherapy was working. She was getting better. Claire's eyes widened. She wasn't dying? No. She had almost beaten the cancer. Claire felt tears fill her eyes. So what happened? Rachel took a deep breath. 3 weeks before she was supposed to leave the hospital, someone pretending to be a nurse entered her room. Claire's chest tightened. They injected her with something. It stopped her heart within minutes. Sophia burst into tears. Oh my God. Claire couldn't speak. Every memory she had of her mother's final days suddenly felt different. The smiling nurse. The sudden emergency. The doctors rushing into the room. Had it all been planned? Rachel handed Claire another photograph. This was taken from the hospital's security camera. The image was blurry, but one person stood out. A woman wearing blue scrubs and a surgical mask. Claire leaned closer. Around the woman's neck hung a silver pendant shaped like a raven. Rachel pointed at it. Every senior Dominion operative wears that symbol. Claire clenched her fists. They murdered my mother. Rachel nodded. Because she refused to tell them where she hid the journal. Claire looked at the worn leather book in her hands. So she died protecting this. She died protecting you. A tear rolled down Claire's cheek. I never even got to tell her goodbye. Thomas quietly said. She knew. Her last words were about you. Claire looked up. You were there? Thomas nodded. I promised her I'd keep you safe until the truth came out. Claire swallowed hard. What were her last words? Thomas closed his eyes, remembering. Tell Claire not to waste her life chasing revenge. Tell her to finish what I started. Claire broke down. Sophia wrapped her arms around her, and the sisters cried together. For the first time in years, Claire wasn't mourning the mother she thought she'd lost. She was mourning the mother who had sacrificed everything to protect her daughters. Suddenly. Beep. 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 A small computer in the corner of the bunker came to life. Thomas's expression changed. No. Rachel looked at the screen. What is it? The USB drive. Claire turned toward the computer. It activated by itself? Thomas nodded slowly. It contains a security protocol. Words began appearing across the monitor. Accessing files. Identity verified. Welcome, Claire Bennett. A video file appeared. Its title read. Play only when Claire is ready. Claire's hand hovered over the mouse. Rachel whispered. I think. You're about to hear your mother's voice again. Claire clicked play. The screen flickered. Then. A woman appeared. She looked tired. Her hair was short from chemotherapy. But her smile was unmistakable. It was Claire's mother. She looked directly into the camera and said. Hello, my beautiful daughters, if you're watching this, then I have run out of time. The video flickered for a moment before becoming clear. Claire couldn't breathe. There she was. Her mother. She looked thinner than Claire remembered. The chemotherapy had taken most of her hair, but her warm smile hadn't changed. For a few seconds, Claire simply stared at the screen, tears streaming down her face. Then her mother spoke. Hello, my beautiful daughters, if you're watching this, then I have run out of time. Claire's knees weakened. She slowly sat down in front of the monitor. Claire. Sophia, if you're together, then you already know that everything I told you about our past was only part of the truth. Sophia looked confused. Our past? Their mother continued. Sophia, I know this will hurt, but you deserve the truth too. Claire looked at her sister. What does she mean? The answer came seconds later. Sophia, you are not my biological daughter. Sophia froze. The room fell completely silent. No. She whispered. No. Rachel closed her eyes. She had known this moment would come. On the screen, Claire's mother wiped away a tear. You were only 4 years old when I found you. The Dominion had taken you from another family. You escaped during a transfer, frightened and alone. When I found you hiding in the woods, you couldn't even remember your own name. Sophia's legs gave way. She collapsed into a chair. So, my parents. They're still alive? Their mother lowered her head. I don't know. I searched for years. But every record connected to your family was erased. Sophia broke into tears. Claire wrapped her arms around her. No matter what this video says, you're still my sister. Sophia cried harder. I know. And you'll always be mine. Thomas quietly wiped his eyes. Rachel smiled through her tears. On the screen, Claire's mother continued. Claire, there's one more truth I've hidden from you. Claire looked back at the monitor. The tarot reader who calls herself Madame Selene is not your enemy. Claire remembered the old woman instantly. The cards. The envelope. The prediction. Everything she told you was carefully chosen. She couldn't tell you everything because the Dominion has been watching her for decades. Rachel nodded. I knew it. Their mother continued. Claire, when you see Selene again, ask her one question. Claire leaned closer to the screen. What question? Where is Project Phoenix? Thomas suddenly stood up. His chair scraped loudly across the floor. No. Rachel looked at him. You know that name? Thomas looked terrified. I hoped she'd never mention it. Claire frowned. What is Project Phoenix? Thomas slowly shook his head. If the Dominion discovers you know that name, they'll never stop hunting you. Before anyone could ask another question, the video froze. The screen turned black. A loud alarm suddenly echoed through the bunker. Warning! Warning! Security breach detected. Thomas rushed to another monitor. His face turned pale. They found the bunker. Rachel looked at the security camera. Several black SUVs had surrounded the hidden entrance in the forest. More than 20 armed agents were pouring out. Claire's heart sank. There are too many. Thomas nodded. They're preparing to come underground. Rachel pointed toward another tunnel at the back of the bunker. There is one last escape route. Thomas hesitated. No. Rachel stared at him. What? We can't all use it. Claire looked between them. What do you mean? Thomas swallowed hard. The tunnel collapsed years ago. It will only hold one person at a time. Just then, a powerful explosion shook the bunker. The steel door bent inward. Dust rained from the ceiling. The first barrier had been breached. Thomas looked at Claire with determination. You have to leave. Claire shook her head. I'm not leaving without all of you. Thomas gave her a sad smile. Your mother knew you'd say that. He reached into his pocket and handed Claire a small brass key. This opens a safe deposit box in Denver. Inside is the final piece of evidence your mother hid. Claire looked at the key. Then come with us. Thomas slowly closed her fingers around it. I can't. Outside the bunker door, heavy footsteps echoed closer. Then a familiar voice shouted. Claire. She froze. She recognized it immediately. It was the same calm voice from the radio. But this time, he said something that made her blood run cold. Your sister Evelyn is with us. And she wants to meet you. The bunker shook violently. Dust poured from the ceiling as another explosion echoed through the underground chamber. Boom. The steel door groaned under the impact. It wouldn't hold much longer. Then the voice came again through a loudspeaker. Claire. Your sister Evelyn is here. She wants to see you. Claire's heart pounded. Rachel grabbed her arm. It's a trap. Thomas nodded. They know you'll never abandon your sister. But Claire couldn't ignore it. What if she's really here? The room fell silent. Sophia stepped forward. What if she's in danger? Before anyone could answer, a giant monitor mounted on the bunker wall suddenly flickered to life. Static filled the screen. Then, a woman's face appeared. Claire gasped. It was like looking into a mirror. The same eyes. The same nose. The same smile. Except for the thin scar above her left eyebrow. Evelyn. The woman stared at the camera with a cold expression. So. You're Claire. Claire stepped closer. I'm your sister. Evelyn didn't smile. I don't have a sister. Those words hit Claire like a punch to the chest. You've been lied to, Claire pleaded. Our mother searched for you your whole life. Evelyn laughed softly. My mother? My mother died when I was 12. Claire shook her head. No. They've been lying to you. Evelyn's expression hardened. No, Claire. They've been lying to you. Rachel whispered. They've brainwashed her. Claire ignored Rachel. Evelyn. Please. Look at me. We're twins. We were born together. For the first time. Evelyn hesitated. She studied Claire's face carefully. Something in her expression changed. Confusion. Doubt. Recognition. Then. A man stepped into view behind Evelyn. He was tall, silver-haired, and wore an expensive black suit. A silver raven pin was fastened to his lapel. Claire instantly recognized the symbol from the hospital photograph. The Dominion. The man smiled politely. My name is Victor Kane. I've been looking forward to meeting you. Claire's voice turned icy. You murdered my mother. Victor sighed. Your mother made unfortunate choices. She betrayed people who trusted her. You call murder an unfortunate choice? Victor ignored the question. Instead, he looked at Evelyn. Tell her. Evelyn slowly faced the camera again. Her voice was calm. Claire. Come with us. We can explain everything. Rachel shouted. Don't listen to her. Victor smiled. If you refuse. He nodded toward someone off camera. Two agents dragged a frightened young man into view. His hands were tied behind his back. His face was bruised. Claire's eyes widened. Daniel? Daniel was Claire's co-worker at the newspaper. He had helped her investigate dozens of corruption stories over the years. Victor placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. He became curious. So we invited him for a conversation. Daniel struggled against the agents. Claire. Don't trust them. An agent punched him hard in the stomach. Daniel collapsed to his knees. Claire felt rage boiling inside her. What do you want? Victor's smile never faded. The journal. The USB drive. And you. Claire looked at Thomas, then at Rachel. Neither of them spoke. Victor checked his watch. You have 1 hour. If you surrender peacefully. Your friend lives. If not. He nodded to an agent. The screen suddenly filled with Daniel's terrified face. Victor's voice turned cold. You'll watch him die. The transmission ended. The bunker fell silent. No one moved. Finally, Claire spoke. I'm going. Rachel's eyes widened. No. I'm not letting an innocent man die because of me. Thomas stepped in front of the escape tunnel. If you walk out that door, you may never come back. Claire looked down at the journal in her hands. Then she remembered the tarot reader's final words. When the moment comes, you'll know. She slowly reached into her handbag. The sealed envelope. She had never fully opened it. With trembling hands, she tore it open. Inside was a single tarot card. The Strength card. Tucked behind it was a tiny handwritten note from Madame Selene. Claire unfolded it. Her eyes widened. It contained only one sentence. The one you fear is not your greatest enemy, the one you trust is. Claire slowly looked up. Her eyes moved across the room. Rachel. Thomas. Sophia. One of them. Had been lying from the very beginning.